Enquanto a gente espera aqui para baixar o Baldur's Gate aqui de novo, que eu tava com a versão errada aqui durante a live. Galera, eu vi esse vídeo aqui do Nixion e eu achei super interessante porque o Lord of the Rings Online, o MMO, ele fez uma mudança que eu achei super interessante. Eu acho que todo MMO deveria fazer algo do tipo. Vamos dar uma olhada aqui no vídeo dele, que é muito interessante. Esse pequeno. Cara, é uma coisa tão simples, tão básica, que todo MMO deveria fazer. Mas vamos lá. Para quem não conhece o Nixion, ele é um canal, ele é um influenciador de MMOs. Ele começou também no World of Warcraft, como a maioria dos influenciadores de MMOs. Começaram no World of Warcraft, depois foram para outros. Ele ainda jogou, mas ele fala de vários MMOs. E ele também faz muitos machinimas, que são aqueles vídeos, aquelas animações, aqueles filmes usando os personagens do World of Warcraft. Vamos dar uma olhada aqui enquanto a gente espera o download aqui do Baldur's Gate. O vídeo está em inglês, mas tem aquela tradução, a legenda aqui embaixo. Mas galera, antes de continuar, eu queria falar com vocês sobre um parceiro aqui do Codex, que é o NoPing. O NoPing é um programa que trabalha para deixar os seus jogos online muito melhores, muito mais rápidos, diminuindo a latência, o ping dos seus MMOs de 10 a 50 GMS. Como é que ele faz isso? A gente aqui no Brasil está muito longe onde ficam os servidores dos MMOs dos jogos online, que ficam normalmente na Europa e nos Estados Unidos. E o NoPing, ele cria um atalho, uma rota direta da sua casa para o servidor do jogo. Com isso, ele vai diminuir a sua latência, vai acabar com a perda de pacote e acabar com o desconnect. E além disso, ele tem uma nova tecnologia que também aumenta o seu FPS exclusiva do NoPing. E você acha que não funciona? Não precisa acreditar em mim, porque você pode testar o NoPing de graça, sem pagar nada, por 7 dias. E se gostar, você ainda tem 30% de desconto. E esse desconto ele vale para o plano anual, que já tem um desconto. Então, se você contratar o plano anual, você vai ter o desconto do plano anual mais o meu 30%. O que você vai ter que fazer? Aqui embaixo vai ter um link, você vai clicar nesse link, baixar o programa, criar a sua conta e na hora que você for comprar, escolhe o plano e coloca o cupom LORDMOES. Só isso, galera. Clica no link, baixa o programa, faz o cadastro e usa o cupom LORDMOES. E além de tudo isso, sempre que você usa, você me ajuda aqui no canal. Então, galera, clica no link, baixa o programa, faz o cadastro e usa o cupom LORDMOES. Muito obrigado para todo mundo que está usando e muito obrigado para todo mundo usar. E agora vamos continuar a ver o vídeo aqui do canal.
Lord of the Rings Online just did something major that, to my understanding, has never been done before in an MMORPG. Yes, that old as dirt MMO, Lord of the Rings Online, it's still going to this day. It's still releasing.
Ô Codex! Mas o MMO do Senhor dos Anéis não é o da Amazon que eles estão fazendo ainda? Então, na verdade, já existe MMO do Senhor dos Anéis super antigo, tá bem antigo, e a Amazon tá fazendo um novo MMO. Ele tá falando do MMO antigo, tá?
Expansions, it's still innovating, making new content, and today you're going to learn about one of Lord of the Rings Online's newest features that came out with its latest expansion, Before the Shadow, a feature that will hopefully change MMORPGs going forward forever. Okay, so before we talk about what exactly Lord of the Rings Online did, we do need to establish a little bit of context real fast.
All right, then, keep your...
Ele tá laranja.
Many modern day MMOs have an absolutely massive issue that nobody seems to want to address. Specifically, we need to talk about that long neglected, abused, and frankly sometimes spit upon element of the MMO, the early game. If you're a new player to an MMO that's been around for a little...
Cara, o early game do Star Wars The Old Republic não é ruim. Eu não acho ruim o early game do Star Wars The Old Republic. Eu gosto bastante. Porque tem toda aquela história que é o que te prende no jogo. Agora o early game do WoW é horrível.
Most MMO companies have thought it prudent to just leave their early game experience as simple and straightforward as possible, abandoning them entirely in favor of focusing on the end game. Most expansions for MMOs will have very little to do with the early game experience, questing, professions, low-level dungeons, whatever. All the focus and the emphasis is always put on making the veteran players happy, not addressing the needs of the newcomer to the MMO or to the person that just wants to
faz
level a
sentido,
new
né?
character. This, of course, leads to new players trying out these sorts of MMOs, giving them a shot, and then being severely disappointed with how lifeless and dull the world can feel.
Para fazer aqui o advogado do Sargeras, né? Cara, faz sentido você focar no jogador veterano, porque MMOs, hoje em dia, não estão na moda, não são mainstreams. Você não tem esse fluxo de novos jogadores indo jogar MMOs, né? Então, você focar muito no early game, quando 90%, 70% do seu player tá no endgame, é complicado. Só fazendo ali. Mas talvez, se o early game fosse legal, se o leveling fosse legal, tivesse mais novos jogadores.
Early game doldrums have been an issue in modern MMOs for so long that even games like World of Warcraft, which has a notoriously bad early game experience for new players and veteran players alike, they even offer a cash shop incentive for you to just pay $60 and just skip the whole thing entirely. Maybe it's a good business model, but players often feel cheated by this sort of neglect being present in such a large part of the game. Now,
chegou lá e o cliente falou, nossa, que veio aqui,
quer fazer propaganda no meu canal? Me paga, não paga pro YouTube não.
Lord of the Rings Online is an MMO that's been around for a very long time, and it has boasted multiple expansions under its belt during its days, taking players from the steppes of the Shire all the way to the fiery doom of Mordor.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
And like
Cara, o Lord of the Rings Online é um MMO que eu tenho que jogar de novo, porque o pessoal tem falado muito bem dele, principalmente que ele tem focado muito do roleplay, na parte de RPG do jogo, né? Então, acho que vale a pena dar uma revisitada nele.
Like with every other MMO that's been around for a while, Lord of the Rings Online has also faced this issue. New players, of course, want a fun and engaging early game experience to delight in, and veteran players don't want to be bored running the same content over and over again. Does that sound like you? Because it certainly sounds like me. You know, the level up in the early game should be fun. Also, you got to keep in mind, Lord of the Rings Online is a game that is known primarily for its storytelling, its massive world and roleplay-like content. The developers actually want you to take your time leveling up in the world. They want you to experience the story that they have so painstakingly crafted. It's a very different approach to their MMO compared to game companies like Blizzard and like others who just want you to rush through all that content as fast as possible and get to the latest expansion. So here's the question. How do you fix this problem? How do you make the early game experience fun for new players without making it overwhelming, enjoyable for veteran players, and just make it overall a really good and fun and memorable time? Well, with Lord of the Rings Online's newest expansion, Before the Shadow, they tried something new. And it has brought a lot of attention to the game and has been bringing players back to Middle-earth in droves. And let me explain as to why. So this new expansion just brought to the game 2 new zones for people to explore, new quests to do, dungeon experiences, and a whole lot more. But there's one thing that Before the Shadow brought to the game that has gotten the most attention, and it is called the adventure system. Let me explain. When you make a new character in Lord of the Rings Online, after you create them and go through the little tutorial, you can approach a specific NPC just outside of the new town of Mossward. He's standing just outside the city gate. Now, if you talk to this NPC, he sells to you some very peculiar items. He sells to you everything from potions to even new emotes that you can buy and use on your character. The only problem is, how do you buy this stuff? Well, it takes a special currency, and the only way to earn this currency is by participating in what's called the adventure mode.
No, wait. We do not want any adventures here.
Adventure mode is a system that has multiple tiers to choose from, ranging from simple adventurous all the way to heroic. And what happens is when you choose one of these options, the entire world is going to scale up in difficulty for you and your questing experience. This means that enemies are now going to take less damage, they'll use special abilities like gaining the power to shield themselves, they can lay down traps, and a whole lot more.
Ah, tipo sistema de tier do Diablo 4? Interessante.
Those formerly simple and easy to kill mobs, you shoot them like 2 or 3 times and they're dead, it ain't like that no more. The world suddenly becomes dangerous and scary. And by doing this, by choosing higher levels of difficulty to level in the world with, you will get rewarded with bonus experience points and virtue experience. And this amount that you get increases with every higher tier of difficulty. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, man, you know, I've been playing MMOs for a while. I'm just going to ramp it up to the highest difficulty, go out and quest in the world. I know what I'm doing.
I suppose you think that was terribly clever.
If you do this, Be ready, because you're going to get two-shot by the tiny piglet outside of town. You're going to quickly realize that this super high-level adventure tier of difficulty is impossible to do on your own. And that's the point. You are going to need a group, a fellowship in Lord of the Rings Online. You are going to have to group up with your friends, take care of each other, and you will be going throughout the world together, desperately trying to survive. And guess what? Everybody's going to benefit from it because everyone's going to get those experience bonuses. You really are going to go on a dangerous, unexpected journey together. Or if
Cara, que ideia genial! Que ideia genial! Basicamente, eles criaram nível de dificuldade do leveling, porque aí o jogador ele pode refazer aquele leveling, só que com mais desafios e vai ser recompensado com isso. Isso é, você motiva o jogador a reutilizar aquele conteúdo que teoricamente está largado. Então o jogador ia refazer o leveling, refazer as zonas, refazer as quests, refazer as dungeons, e aí ele ganha uma moeda que ele pode trocar por itens do jogo. Cara, é basicamente o que os jogadores estão fazendo no clássico. Por que os jogadores estão jogando o clássico, estão jogando hardcore? Porque eles querem a experiência tradicional do MMO, tradicional do leveling, a dificuldade do jogo. E se você colocasse isso, só que com as vantagens do retail, com esse nível de dificuldade, cara, seria genial se fizesse isso no World of Warcraft e outros MMOs também. Cara, que ideia simples, boba. Boba no sentido de ter uma coisa tão básica e ninguém tinha
you
feito.
don't have friends, you can do a lower level difficulty that's still manageable as a solo player.
Isso é genial.
It's fine. Let's put it this way. Me and my friends have been checking this out. We're even talking about doing an entire leveling series in Lord of the Rings Online together as a group, something I've never done on this channel before. The whole world suddenly feels like a dungeon. That little like outpost of bandits suddenly becomes terrifying. You need to lay down traps, use crowd control, use the terrain to your advantage, or you are going to die. Throw on top of that a little bit of hardcore action where if you die, you delete the character.
Death equals delight.
And you've got a grand good time. Suddenly, the questing becomes more rewarding because you're doing it with your friends. Suddenly, the gear that you get becomes more impactful because it actually helps
Porque
you
faz
out
uma
in the open
diferença.
world and has a real difference in your survivability in the world. You can't just turn your brain off anymore. It feels like a proper adventure, and this is a brand new system that Lord of the Rings Online has just introduced that they haven't even fully expanded on yet. Maybe right now, yeah, you can earn some emotes and level up pretty quick and have a really good time and get some extra little perks here and there, but in the future, who knows what they could do with this system? Imagine if other MMOs did something like this. Imagine if games like World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, Star Wars The Old Republic, and other big popular MMOs did a system like this where it actually encouraged friends to make alt characters together, to level up, or even if you want to play solo, that's fine. Play solo, but you're going to be going through a much harder, more challenging, and painful world experience than the brand new player that's just came to the game and he doesn't know what he's doing. Ever since this came out, it has been such a fun, fantastic, and enjoyable system to play with. The only con is the fact that so many people are playing Lord of the Rings Online right now that sometimes during peak time, the servers are lagging because there's too many players on the dang servers. And that's great. I love it. The point is, if you're a big fan of MMOs like I am and you want a big breath of fresh air, Lord of the Rings Online is probably where you want to go right now because a lot of people are checking it out. A lot of people are trying out the adventure mode. It's just a fun system to do with your friends. You're going to have a lot of laughs because of it. And if you decide to undertake the adventure mode, play it smart. Don't be a fool, because otherwise you are going to die. I recently talked about Rings Online and whether or not it was worth playing in 2023. That video is linked on your screen right now. If you've never given this game a shot, I highly recommend it. Dive into Middle-earth, enjoy the storytelling, get into the roleplay, be a bard and play some custom-made music, and just have a good time, guys. My name is Nixium. Thanks for watching
Se
the video.
pode ser bardo, o jogo é bom.
Rings Online content.
Se pode ser bardo, o jogo é bom. Galera, eu vou colocar o link do vídeo aqui embaixo para quem quiser dar o like. Olha, como eu tinha falado antes, é uma ideia simples, boba, básica, mas simplesmente genial. Porque você pode revitalizar todo o leveling, você pode estimular os jogadores a upar altos, upar em grupos, com, às vezes, aumentando a vida, às vezes aumentando o dano que os mobs dão, colocando algumas habilidades adicionais. Cara, genial. Genial. Pegar o sistema que tem nos action RPGs e trazer para os MMOs. Tomara que outras empresas também vejam isso e tragam para os outros MMOs. E, Vocês ficariam interessados se eu jogasse aqui o Lord of the Rings Online até pra testar esse sistema? Pra quem nunca jogou, deve ser estranho testar um sistema que deixa o level mais difícil pra quem nunca jogou. Você acha que vale a pena jogar? Escreve aqui embaixo, tá, galera? Eu achei genial, por isso que eu quis trazer pra vocês. Sensacional essa ideia. Tomara que outros MMOs também usem e talvez até valha a pena a gente jogar um pouquinho o Lord of the Rings Online aqui no canal.